Welcome into a special edition of Bleav in Commanders podcast. Scott Jackson and Anthony Armstrong. And Anthony, it is the day Commanders fans have been waiting for since this offseason, stalemate started, right? Like the Terry McLaurin stalemate with management on this contract. It's over. 3 years, $96 million. Don't have the guaranteed money yet and all that good stuff, but it's over. Terry McLaurin has got a contract extension. No more Terry contract talk. So I guess most importantly, Anthony, you get to make an adjustment on your set.
I do. I've had this sign up this whole time. I hated that I even put it up with some tape because I was like, I think it's going to take a little while, but let's update it right now. We have now signed Terry, live action. You see it here. I'm so glad this is done. I hate the fact that it took this long, but it's just a little extra dramatic, right? It's a little extra something to make you think and talk about for the season. But I know this much. He's going to be there week 1 against the Giants. It's -6.5. I'm looking for him to ball out. It's the day that Santana Moss is going into the Ring of Fame. Everything is pointing up. The trajectory is good. I'm glad they got this done.
Yeah, I'm very happy they had this done. I'm happy all of you are with us here on the special edition of Bleav in Commanders podcast, part of the Bleav Network. Scott Jackson and Anthony Armstrong. Of course, please like, follow, and comment on these podcasts. We appreciate that, and we'll be doing a lot more all year long. Now we can get into like game weeks and prep and all that other stuff. Like, let's be honest. For the Commanders, this is probably good timing too, because I think we'd have weeks of not only this, but also saying, man, that was an ugly preseason, like 3 ugly preseason games outside of the 2 drives in Cincinnati, right? The first 2 drives against the Bengals, it was pretty hard. It was pretty hard to watch. And especially this past one on Saturday. I mean, it was not, it was not going well, right?
Yeah. It was one of those things where you're like, man, I'm glad we can flush that and look past it. It probably worked out in Terry's favor. But one thing I do like is that you don't know what the offense is going to look like with him in there. There may be a whole bunch of wrinkles that Cliff Kingsbury had, but I tell you what, this is the second time. I'm assuming Cliff went in there and said, man, get this deal done. He already said he needed his guys on the grass, but he went in, he left a note for AP to draft Josh Connerly. You think he maybe left another note saying, get the Terry deal done, please. We got to have our guy back. I'm glad he's in the fold.
Well, you know what? It's funny because last week you heard Cliff talk, right, or a week and a half ago. Then you had like the very positive Jaden Daniels, right? Multiple moments. He had a chance. Monday Night Football, he said it. I expect him to be here. I expect 17 to walk in. Then he made the comments on The Athletic with Diane Rossini this week on an interview on camera also, how he was very positive this was going to happen. So Jaden Daniels, positive projections. And you don't want to disappoint the franchise quarterback, right? Like you don't want to keep him down. So you got to make this happen. And as you and I have been talking about since May, like the thing that I'm most interested about this team is how, and I think they're going to complement each other really well, but we don't know because we haven't seen it at all. And now, of course, camp is closed, so we will not see it until week 1, is how well Terry McLaurin and Deebo Samuel complement one another on the field. And I think that is very exciting. I'm sure that's what Cliff Kingsbury's been dying to, practice with, and he'll get to finally do it on Wednesday.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to watching all 22 and see how it works. But I think you're going to end up getting a very productive Terry McLaurin. And I asked the folks over there on X, I said, how are you feeling, Commanders fans? And there was a lot of positivity. And there was obviously a couple of haters came in there saying they overpaid for this guy. But I said it before and I'll say it again. With Terry McLaurin, this is a completely different situation. I think you throw age out of it. You look at the value that this person has for your organization and the way you're trying to rebuild this thing, it makes sense to get him in the building and pay the price. Now, hey, $32 million a year, that's probably more than what a lot of people were expecting.
Right.
But I mean, there was some rumblings that he wanted, a little bit higher than that. Sure. So I think at the end of the day, Terry and his agent, they did a good job. Congratulations. They got to this point. And he's a guy that I trust was going to show up in shape and be ready to play. He's probably was chomping at the bit to get out there and get active. So he's glad that it's done. He's glad to be back there with his guy because it was not a good look to see him on the sideline with the hood all over his head.
Yeah. But at least he was there this week, and I did think that was a positive. I know he wasn't there Monday night. Dan Quinn said it was something to do with the rehab. Also, Cosme wasn't there. Of course, Brian Robinson wasn't there because that trade was happening. It was going to happen, I should say. So, look, I kind of also think in big picture, the team didn't want him there to be the focus of the Monday Night Football broadcast, which Trey Hendrickson ended up being a big part of the Bengals side of it, right? Because everybody's, there's Trey Hendrickson's here, and all that stuff. So I think that was also strategic on their part to say, hey, don't bother. You don't want to be bothered with this. We don't want you to be bothered with this. Not good for anybody as we're trying to work this thing across the finish line. But anyway, it worked out for the best, and happy to see it done. Like everybody says, John has hit us up via the comments. You can comment on our stream right now. He says, yeah, it's a good day. Let's go Commanders, HTTR. Can't wait for this season to start. Let's go. 100% agree. Because preseason was a slog, man. With watching those 3 games was not fun. I mean, outside of 2 drives, it was not a fun preseason. And I don't want to blame it all on Sam Hartman, but like that was a big part of it, right? He was not a guy who had a ton of offseason because he came back from a surgery. And it stinks for the guys that you're trying to evaluate, right? Like when your quarterback is misfiring or not playing to the level you expect him to. I thought that was tough. I mean, Josh Johnson had some moments, but he also was inconsistent. So, they got to cut down a roster, and we'll be back on Tuesday night after they do it to talk about it. But, man, I don't know if you can keep more than 2 quarterbacks in this roster, unless you're scared Mariota's not healthy. I mean, neither one of those guys showed me like, oh, God, I have to have him on the final 53. I mean, I think both of which could be practice squad candidates, or maybe you look elsewhere too for a third. Who knows?
I liked what I saw from Josh, though. Just a little bit of tape I saw from against Cincinnati. I think he put enough up there, but ultimately, you're not planning on having to put any of those folks on the field, right? Jaden's going to be out there and operating, and you rebuilt that offensive line to not have to worry about who the backup quarterback is. So, whereas I know who Marcus Mariota is and Josh Johnson, they like the alliteration in that quarterback room for backups. I don't need them to be on the field at all unless we're up by 25 points. But what I am excited about, though, is that earlier on FanDuel, they didn't have the line props for Terry McLaurin receiver yards on the year, but now they do. It's up there at minus 114, 975.5 yards over under. Scott, what are you thinking? You taking the over or the under on that?
Over. He'll hit over 1,000 yards again this year. I expect that to happen. So yeah, I would go over there, and I think that's probably a good number though for a betting standpoint. Because remember last year he just got over 1,000 in 17 games, but it was a slow start. Remember the first 2 weeks he really was not really that involved, and that's a big question, right? Like what's going on these first 2 weeks? Why wasn't he there? I think even with missing a good portion of camp, like I'm with you. I think he's the type of guy who's going to be in good shape, and it's not going to be an issue. Does your son think about this deal?
I got folks trying to jump in and bring their own interpretation and opinion to it. I will say this. I think and what other things going to happen with this relationship with Deebo and Terry is I expect Terry to get more big plays. I think he's going to score, bigger touchdowns. Sure. So even if you scroll through and they gave us a 1250, right? A 1250 is a plus 380. So if you're really trying to bump up your money, it's kind of a stretch. It would be his best season yards wise.
It would be,
But I think it could be something that could happen, because last year there were a couple of games where he had 2 catches, 2 targets, he wasn't getting the ball. I think with this investment in this player, you're saying we're going to get you the ball. We're going to treat you like a number 1 receiver by targets, and the production should show up as well.
By the way, Eric wants you to bring the kid in the show. I don't
know. Man. He already he's already
bored with you.
Jumping on one. Yeah, man.
Yeah. He's coming on. He's like, see dad for a minute and then get out of here. But he's excited. See, all the young fans are even excited that the Terry deal's done. So that's good to see. Now, since we last spoke, you and I spoke. I know you did an emergency pod on the Brian Robinson move. What did you think of that? I mean, I thought they actually salvaged pretty good out of that. I wasn't sure they would get more than maybe a conditional, going into the thing, but to get a 6 from the 49ers, I think it was a pretty good deal.
I think that's fair. And then when you look at this front office and how they've run things, a 6th round pick could be a very impactful player, right? So who did you get this last year? Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt. And a lot of guys have him pegged as your RB1. Can AP do that again in this upcoming draft? I mean, we'll worry about that in April. Stick with us and make sure you subscribe so you can stay with us when we get there. But the 6th round pick could be an impactful player. It's not a throwaway pick like it used to be under previous regimes and whatnot. So I trust the scouting, and I love that they were able to get something for B. Rob. And for his sake, it's good to have value, right? It's good to know that like, hey, somebody does want me. And then third, he's going to, frankly, an organization and a scheme that should help simplify things for him. And look at him for potentially playing at a really high level. I don't know what his lines are on FanDuel, but he may perform pretty well, especially with CMC, may end up, injured. He's obviously kind of battling injuries over the past couple seasons.
Yeah, and he's a good, C-Rob B-Rob, excuse me, I said C-Rod, which is Chris Rodriguez, is a good one-cut runner. So I think that like you said, kind of fits into what he does out there as well. So that worked out well. But, getting back to the Commander side of it right now with McLaurin in, the other big news piece going into the weekend was seeing Noah Brown get a serious workout in pregame before that Ravens game. That was probably the highlight of the day in terms of Commanders news, because on the field it wasn't so great, but to see him get working out as hard as he was, running as hard as he was, cutting, I think that watching that video made me feel good that he'll be ready when the time comes against the Giants. And he's a big part of this. I mean, obviously Terry and Deebo are the focal points, but Noah's a big part of it. We saw what Jalen Lane did in the preseason, which I think was encouraging. And I think McCaffrey, Luke McCaffrey, the way he ended on Sunday or Saturday was good for him to catch some footballs that were thrown his way. Even going back, I know you talked about it some, like if you watched just him in the previous game against the Bengals, now he didn't get targeted, but he was getting open. He was running crisp routes. It just was an opportunity thing there. I don't think it was anything he wasn't doing. So that was good. And you could also say, well, Cincinnati wasn't jamming him at the line either, but still, I mean, he was, I think he's fine. I think those five guys are your receivers. And maybe from somebody from the outside, I don't know if they keep six, frankly, from what I saw. I mean, Chris Moore got open all the time, but never made the catch. I mean, that was just frustrating to watch because nobody got open more in camp than that guy, but nobody dropped more balls than that guy either. Yeah. Fred Smoot and I were talking about this on Saturday in the post game. So, it's just unfortunate, but it wasn't like anybody wowed you. I don't know if Michael Gallup's screaming he has to be on the 53 or even Osborne. I mean, they both did okay. But I don't know if if they're going to feel strong enough just to keep these five. I guess it really depends on Noah's health and how fit they think Terry is to start the season.
I think starting the year, you need to consider keeping an extra body around, just for, we are just rolling people out and you don't know what's going to happen. Couple of trips and now you're down to three receivers and it just changes your whole game plan. So it could make sense to, keep an extra body out there just for a couple of weeks so you are certain that guys are healthy and ready to rock and roll. But coming into Tuesday, are there any, I don't know, this solidifies everything, but are there any moves now that you think, guarantees something happens on the 53 and that somebody's going to be gone or not? I don't know if it really clarifies anything for us.
Yeah, I don't know if it does either.
It's done.
I still think the positions that are hardest to figure out are defensive line. I don't think that changes. I think the secondary, there might be a tough decision or two to make there. But I think the linebacker will be interesting, how big they keep that. I think McGee obviously solidified himself with getting on the field Sunday or Saturday and playing well. Did some good things. And Medrano's going to be on the team. A guy like Jacob Martin's very interesting to me. I thought it was maybe telling that he was not active on Saturday. He rushed the passer very well throughout camp and in these preseason games, but they kept him on the sidelines on Saturday, which was interesting because usually those are guys that are either you're trying to hide to get to a practice squad, right, or they've made the team. And most of the guys that were on that inactive list Saturday were guys that are making the team, right? Like they're mostly starters and big time role players. So it was fascinating.
It doesn't always calm your nerves, though. I'll tell you that much. When I didn't have to dress that final one, I thought I was still going to get cut. I ended up making it. So it caught me off guard, man. It caught me off guard.
Well, I tell you what. What's the little guy? I want to see him. There he is, little Anthony.
Say what's up. Say you going to wave. Say go, Commander. You happy Terry got signed? Say yes.
Yes.
I get out of here.
No.
No. All right, cool. You stick around.
He's hanging. He's not leaving.
Exactly. No, it was good. I'm glad Terry's in the fold. The pass rusher situation, I would think Martin would be there, because you have to have guys that are going to be able that you can roll out in key situations. And that's going to play into the depth that Joe Witt likes to have. But man, really, I just want to see what Cliff is going to unroll on offense, because I know he's a creative play caller, one of the best in the country to do that. So he should be able to put some interesting things out there.
By the way, Magic Johnson, one of the owners of the Commanders, of course, minority owner, and of course, the most, let's be honest, the one that everybody wants to meet. The players, since Magic's been part of the team, including Terry, are like awestruck. I know Terry spent some time with Magic, and Magic just posted a picture with him, and Terry said, "I'm thrilled we re-signed Terry McLaurin. Job well done to my partner, Josh Harris, and GM Adam Peters. This is great news for the Commanders players, our organization, our Commanders fans. Terry is more than just a great football player. He's an outstanding leader and does tremendous things in the DMV community." So very cool to see Magic weighing in on the Terry McLaurin deal today.
I always love seeing Magic's tweets, because they're like very well scripted and written out. And he's always invited to get onto the show as well.
Yeah.
We'd love to have him join us. I may not be able to make it out to Mykonos, Greece, and run on the treadmill with you, but gladly have you.
Well, if he wanted us to fly out or could fly us out to his yacht, we'd be happy to do a show on the yacht.
That would be something. I think we can make that happen. Y'all like this? Tag Irvin Magic Johnson.
That's right.
Clip this, all right, and tag him. We could just tag it. I mean, hell, the team won't be in Madrid anyways.
Right. We can get on that yacht and just go over.
Scott needs we can get out there.
Yeah, I'd like to talk about the dream team with him and some other things, Laker years and all that stuff. That'd be a lot of fun.
Hell of an episode.
That'd be a big episode. Yeah, a lot of stuff you could cover with Magic.
Giants Insider said that my son can take the sign down.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, you should let him take it down.
Yeah, we're gonna leave it there. We're gonna
sign Terry for now. Yeah,
we're gonna put Terry's stats up there on week 1. That's what we're gonna put. 2 touchdowns.
All right, so week 1, let me ask you this. Week 1, we've been talking about this forever, it feels like, on FanDuel. 6.5 point favorite are the Commanders. You have a lot of history with this organization as a player. You know how these Giants games have gone. It doesn't matter what the year is of the decade. It feels like they're all very challenging football games. I mean, last year when this team, was Haley's Comet, flying up there, they had to kick 7 field goals to win in week 1 at the buzzer, basically. The one later in the season against the Giants up there was a tough one. I think it was a 5-point game. The Commanders won. So, I mean, there were difficult games. They weren't easy. This Giants D-line is imposing with Abdul Carter. We don't know if Sam Cosmi's playing week 1 yet. That's still a big question. Certainly, Carter, is so that that Connerly's going to probably be the right tackle. We know Tunsil's going to be left tackle. So that part of it you feel good about. But, I mean, they've got a real ferocious front. Dexter Lawrence in the middle is a menace. But offensively, I've been impressed. I know it's just preseason, but I've been impressed with what I've seen from the Giants so far in the preseason. I know maybe some of that is, maybe their game planning. I don't know. Maybe they're really putting a lot into it to create some excitement behind their rookie quarterback and their veteran quarterback, Russell Wilson. All I know is dudes were getting open downfield, not named Malik Neighbors. And I know Malik Neighbors are going to get open when he's ready. And I've been told that he's fine. There's just all precautionary that he'll be on the field. So I think this Giants game is a dangerous one. And think about this. The Commanders have to play 5 days later at Green Bay. So you goof around here, you can come out, looking 0-2 in the eye if you don't take care of your business.
Yeah, that's facts. The Giants are the annoying little cousin that just always knows your moves and can keep up with you. But with a new set of eyes at QB with Russ and Jackson Dart, frankly, it's Magic. It's Jameis Winston. His aura into that quarterback room has uplifted this team. I love this dude. Love seeing what he's doing up there. But honestly, though, it's a different. You can't expect it to be the Giants team of old, right? No. Like you already mentioned, you went on and on about the defensive line. They're good. All right, they're good. Coach Johnson, Bobby Johnson, is going to have the offensive line ready to go. The linebackers and the running backs are going to be ready for pass pickup and know how to chip on their way out. You're going to see a lot of chips this week going against the Giants. There's going to be all hands on deck to keep this quarterback upright so that you can go back there and attack that secondary with your freshly signed receiver who always has a little bit of beef with Deonte Banks, who's making himself a trip back to Maryland once again. So that battle's going to be there. Defensively, going against this offense, it can be scary, but this retooled secondary, Marshawn Lattimore and crew, I think they're going to be up to the challenge as long as the safeties are good on their eyes, because Russell Wilson will expose you throwing the ball deep if you let him.
Yeah, and Trey Amos, who was kept out a lot of the preseason, outside of the first game, they're very, very excited about him. So yeah, I like the retooled secondary, and I'll be interested to see how much Jeremy Reeves we get in that secondary because I thought he played really, really well every moment he got, at that safety position in the preseason. He was one of the stars of the preseason, so that should be a lot of fun to see as well. But yeah, we still got another week. It's kind of cool because it's with getting this done. You have a free weekend of no stress. Like they're just getting the work in. Now they'll practice Wednesday. Hopefully, again, Noah Brown will be ready on the week 1 action as well, and they'll be full strength. And it'll be the first time we've seen him, the full strength version of this team, and obviously the first time ever the version with Deebo, with Terry, which is exciting as well because we didn't see much of the ones in the regulars in the preseason. Obviously, even in practice days at camp, I was up there for the inter squad. That was there's no Terry there, so you still can't really get a feel for what it looks like. I just know some dudes are having a hard time getting off the line of scrimmage without Terry out there. So I'm relieved that he's there now. So this is it's good. It's good news day. I don't know what. Again, we'll get the final numbers later. I really don't care. It's not my money.
Yeah, right.
I left
$20 up there. I know I left a little 20 up there. So I said, man, don't put this on my man books, man.
I don't care who won or lost the negotiation. I'm just glad it's over, right? I'm just glad it is over.
Yes, indeed. Put that sucker behind us and let's focus on this season. Let's focus on these Giants. Let's focus on this division.
Well, let's say goodbye. We'll talk again Tuesday after the cuts. Looking forward to seeing how that. But you know how it is, too. Even after the cuts on Tuesday, that's not necessarily the final 53 before the season starts. There's some roster manipulation that goes on lots of times, too, after they make those final first trim to 53, I should say.
That is true. You all going to have a little adjustment, but one quarterback that's not going to be joining is Shedeur Sanders. He's going to make the roster in Cleveland.
Yeah, I think they're going to keep 4, which is the weirdest thing I've ever seen in my life. But hey,
I'm telling you, it's any given Sunday. It's any given Sunday. Just watch this season. It's going to be any given Sunday out there.
Boy, if he plays the regular season, bless all those guys who have to see that. Go running backwards 25 yards. All right, for Anthony Armstrong, once again, thanks for joining us. Bleav in Commanders podcast. Scott Jackson, Anthony Armstrong, part of the Bleav Network. Give us a follow, give us a like, give us a comment, download the episodes, all that stuff. But thanks for joining us for this live episode. And until next time, after Cutdown Day, everybody have a good one. Happy Terry McLaurin sign day.